Hi y'all, and welcome to my channel where we are doing, oh gosh, another video regarding Katie Joy Paulson and just who she is. Okay, so we're going to get through this one hopefully pretty quickly today. I did a live stream recently where we went through posts, or actually comments to her posts on Threads. And Threads is connected to Instagram, which we know she has a pretty big following, and also Facebook. So on Threads, whatever you post on Instagram, you can post on Threads. And on Threads, she doesn't have as much control over these comments as she does on her other platforms. So we actually did a live stream, or I actually did a live stream. Hopefully most of you joined or have watched to see the actual comments, how people truly feel about Katie Joy Paulson. And some of them were hilarious, y'all, because I always wondered, why is there nothing but positive comments? We do see negative ones here and there whenever we're able to capture them before she actually deletes these comments. So with Threads, she's not as lucky. And some of the posts that she has decided to actually put onto Threads as well as Instagram did not go well for her. So we looked at some of the comments that people made just on some of her average posts. And not many people were feeling Katie Joy that day, and they had a lot to say. We can see that there are people that absolutely do not agree with Katie Joy and everything that she does. And the issue with this is that Katie Joy on her platforms only leaves the comments that show support. So people coming in, people that are new, they only see support and think, oh, okay, everybody's on her side. She does not allow people to disagree with her. Now, on Threads, we see that people absolutely disagree with her. And they might agree with her on other things, right? But Katie doesn't allow that. She only allows for you to agree. So here's a post that Katie Joy Paulson did. I showed you the others. There were lots of comments, not many in her favor. Now this one, 1,300 comments on this post. And I am here to tell you there was not one, okay, maybe one, that was in favor of Katie Joy Paulson. Now, the reason why I'm doing this separate from the other comments is that with this post where Katie Joy actually says regarding Blake Lively, now, regardless of how you feel about Blake Lively, okay, Katie Joy says, we don't believe you, Blake. This is not how people act that are suffering emotional distress. And it says, actual photo of Blake Lively suffering severe emotional distress at her movie premiere. Y'all, this triggered so many people. And so many people that were triggered and offended by this put out their own personal stories on here to show that you, in fact, absolutely can wear a smile when you're in distress. You absolutely can wear a smile to hide the DV that you are suffering from, hide those bruises. You absolutely can wear a smile when you're suffering on the inside. And as people actually say in these comments, that's called masking. So first of all, let's look at some of these comments that people left. And again, there's a lot of sensitive topics and stories and personal experiences that people list out here. So I want to take this with a lot of care and caution and take this as a serious topic because clearly Katie Joy can't. And I'm also here to tell you, and one of the main points of this video is outside of doing this to Blake Lively, she does this all the time, but she has absolutely done it to Miranda, Derrick. And we're going to look at that as well. But let's look at some of these comments that people had to say in response to this particular post. Now, clearly, I'm not going to go through all 1,300, but, I did a screen recording and we'll just kind of go in the order that they were at. Some of them I will skip through and go to others, but you will absolutely get the understanding here that people are not in support of this post. Not only are they not in support of this post, some of them are absolutely infuriated, they're confused, and they are in absolute disbelief that anybody would actually make this post. So here we go. This person says, what you're actually communicating to your followers with this. If you're a victim and you become emotionally distressed, you're not allowed to be seen smiling in public. If you do, your claims become invalid. You need to stay home, and if you happen to go outside, you need to look like shit and look miserable. Except, we all know, if she did look miserable, she'd be accused of acting. And somebody responds to that with, amen. And then somebody else says, yeah, no one has ever smiled through pain before, especially not while they're at work. Another, whether you believe her or not, she's smiling, so it must not be that bad, is the goofiest take. And then this person, mic drop, Robin Williams, Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain, Chester Bennington, Twitch. And they continue with several other celebrities or well-known individuals that took their own lives, and ends it with, smiling in public doesn't mean someone isn't suffering. Mental health struggles don't always look how you expect. Another comment says, not all women, it's definitely a specific type. The same type we're not eager to claim, the bottom of the barrel, the shit below pond scum, the ones who justify harm and say a victim had it coming. Happy International Women's Day to everyone except this OP bottom feeder whose crystal ball is about as accurate as a magic 8-ball. This next person bravely states, along with a picture, this is me suffering severe emotional distress. I had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, and this photo was taken 6 days before my first surgery. So yeah, this is actually how people can look while suffering emotional distress. Another commenter says, what an awesome way to show the world what little you know about an incredibly important topic that you have no business speaking about. Congratulations on having the dumbest take I've seen today. To which someone replies, internalized misogyny is very real, and it blows my mind when I see it as overtly as at Without a Crystal Ball's post. It's nauseating, honestly. Another person says, so you're definitely not a safe woman for other women. Good to know. To which somebody replies, don't listen to anything she says. She's a known problematic YouTuber. Tons of videos about her. And somebody responds, perhaps the best course of action after commenting is to just block her so she can sit in an ever-decreasing bubble as people figure out what kind of person she is. Here's another heartbreaking comment. Someone says, I was in a horrific car crash and saw my dad's corpse pressed against my seat. I was chatting and darkly joking with the nurses 4 hours later because that's what you fucking do. I was crying my eyes out in private. You keep calm and get on with shit because otherwise you lose your fucking mind. You're a fucking nut. This person says, I smiled and laughed in front of people every day for over 4 years so they wouldn't know I was living with a man who told me my family didn't care about me, controlled what I wore and ate and where I went, screamed at me, threw things, caused me physical pain for his own amusement, and deprived me of sleep, for starters. You don't know and you don't get to decide if another person is coping, quote unquote, correctly. Another extremely brave person, along with a picture, posted, this is me a week after I was so violently essayed and choked. Yes, I used makeup and Photoshop to hide the marks. I almost died. He came into my house and did that to me. I still have to live in the room he did it in. Victims don't look like perfect victims. This same commenter left another comment with a separate picture that says, here are photos of me looking the way I think you wanted her to. Something I didn't share online, but my psychologist asked me to take photos no matter how I felt, especially when things were bad. Same person, same trauma, different ways of showing it. Somebody kindly responds to that with a hug emoji, sending them a hug. Somebody else then posts, this was the day I graduated from college in 2015, a month before my former partner beat and strangled me until I was unconscious. Another comment to Katie's post is, seriously, how is she supposed to act? For reference, I was essayed by my father ages 4 to 9. My mother blamed me for it. I'm 63 years old. This is something I will always live with. It will never go away. Should I hide in a room somewhere quietly beating myself up for what was done to me? Nope. Living my life the best way I can. I'm famous in my world for my loud laugh. Shows they will not destroy me. Because I survived my mother, I have always known women like you exist. Another emotional one. You can go through high emotional distress and still do your fucking job. My dad died. He was in the ambulance dying, and I still had to have my shit together for everyone else around me. I couldn't cry. I couldn't break down. I couldn't be in emotional distress. I still do this 4 months later. I bottle everything up, I put on a smile, and I fucking take it. This is disgusting. Another person says, this is such a toxic way to look at depression or emotional distress. Some of the happiest people ever seen are so sad. You should never make them feel alienated in this. We are here to support each other. Then another person says, I believe her. I also understand that people mask due to obligations because, that's how they do their job. Another comment says, I guess Taylor's I can do it with a broken heart didn't resonate at all for you. What a charmed life you clearly lead, never having to smile at work when you don't feel like smiling. Someone else says, this is plain stupid. as if one single public moment shows the entirety of what a person experiences. You don't need to like her or believe her, but at least don't be irrational. People can suffer and still smile. People who have been through horrible things can still smile. It does not deny their experience. Another comment, since your whole YouTube channel is pretty much you talking about different fundamentalist cults and how horrible they are to women, I would think that you, of all people, would understand that just because someone is smiling on the outside doesn't mean that they are okay. Another comment, this is forking evil, ma'am. I guess you don't know what masking is. I believe women when they say they've suffered abuse. Even gasp if and when I don't happen to like their personalities. People react in different ways, and rarely is someone a perfect victim. I read the entire original complaint filed, over 70 pages, and it chilled me to the bone. It was horribly familiar. Out with the crystal ball, you are spreading dangerous disinformation, and you should be ashamed. Gross. I believe you, Blake. This person says, Hi, Katie. Victims of abuse are not a singularity. Each person has different experiences, coping mechanisms, emotional maturity, triggers, ability to compartmentalize, ability to mask, access to therapy, and support systems. So we all respond uniquely, even moment to moment within ourselves. I strongly suggest you discuss this with a licensed therapist who can walk you through this and why your post is so damaging towards all victims, not just the alleged one in your crosshairs today. We truly could go on, and we would be here forever. Again, there were 1,300 total comments. Many people responded to other people's comments, some mostly with support to people that talked about their own personal experiences, their own personal traumas. But Katie Joy Paulson never came back with an apology. All she did was come back acting like a victim. Of course she did. That is how she operates. Now, I want to show you something else real quick before we move on to show how this is a pattern of Katie Joy Paulson. But some people actually reposted this with their own comments, and trust me, those are not any better. Also, I'm going to let these kind of scroll for a bit as I chat, and you can read through them. You can pause and read if you wish. If not, you can always go visit her threads, because I believe this post is still there with these 1,300 comments. Again, it's on threads. But one thing you will notice is that if you go look at Katie Joy's Instagram, her comments that are left under each post are extremely positive. Some of these are the same posts. You do not see these comments on any of our other platforms. You will only see them here on threads. I don't know. Katie Joy must not like the fact that she doesn't have control of this, because after this post, she did post others, but she must have hid these people or blocked these people so they didn't come back, or they blocked her because they were so disgusted by her. By seeing this post. But nonetheless, the posts after this didn't have as many negative comments. And I do understand that this one really triggered a lot of people. It upset a lot of people. And as you can see, some of them are fans of Blake. Some of them are not. Nonetheless, Katie Joy Paulson was not able to control the narrative on here. And I'm surprised she has even put any more posts up on threads. Anyways, y'all, it is amazing how many brave people have posted their stories on here in response to this. Put up their own pictures, put up their own personal, private stories, their own traumas that they experienced. And Katie Joy, again, has not responded to this other than by saying she was a victim of people. And I'll show you that post in just a bit. But if you are able to, I would encourage you to pause and read some of these statements. I mean, a lot of them are really going after Katie Joy Paulson hard. And it's very interesting to see because, like I said, if we go look at her other platforms where she can control the narrative, where she can delete her comments immediately, you don't see these types of comments. And I actually was thinking, oh my gosh, does Katie Joy really have this much support? How do people not see what she is actually doing and saying, and nobody is responding? Well, guess what? They are. And this is what people think. This is how people truly feel. 1,300 comments, y'all. And again, very few, if any, out of these 1,300 were even in support of Katie Joy. So I'm going to let it randomly stop right here. And I'm going to read these two comments. One saying, what you just said is absolute trash. Those of us living in severe emotional distress look the fucking happiest on the outside. Get a fucking clue. The next person says, this is exactly how people act suffering emotional distress. And your comment is part of the reason, making shitty conclusions about the trauma to diminish and demonize. Y'all, like all of the posts are this tone, this statement to get across to Katie Joy. Do you think she heard it? Do you think she listened? No. She turned around and she made herself the victim. So let's move on. I know some of these are extremely difficult to read and listen to. So again, if you're up for it, go ahead and pause and read. What I do have on here, believe me, this is not even close to the totality of what was left under this particular post. Again, 1,300 comments, y'all. If you're up to it, pause and read. If not, head on over to Threads under Without a Crystal Ball and take a look for yourself. And as a reminder, for those of you that want to go look at all the comments that are left for her under Threads, it is under this post right here. She has it on Instagram as well. On Threads, this is where all the truth is actually able to be heard on what people really feel and think about Katie Joy Paulson. And when she says ridiculous shit like this, just basically saying that because Blake Lively is smiling, she is lying and does not suffer from any emotional distress. It's very unbelievable, y'all. But let's not forget that this is not the first time she has done this, because she did it to Miranda Derrick relentlessly. She claims that Miranda Derrick is a victim of Robert Shin, yet all she does is victimize Miranda Derrick. She has made numerous posts such as this, stating that she's aware that Miranda does not believe that she is in danger, and she's aware that Miranda does not recognize that she is a victim. And then she also says her smile and happiness is an illusion. First of all, there are many people that would disagree with that, and it's not for Katie Joy to say. But so here, her smile is an illusion, that she doesn't know that she's happy, Katie Joy has said in the past. And then here, when she's talking about Miranda Derrick's husband, James Derrick, she actually says, little boys, weak little boys. Your fake smiles on Instagram don't fool me one bit. You're complicit to the abuse, and turning a blind eye makes you just as guilty. But y'all, she also calls him a victim. She says, when everything blows up, don't cry about your career being ruined. You did it to yourselves. Do better. Again, she claims he is a victim of Robert Shin, but isn't this victim blaming? Is she victimizing the victim here? And since she typically says he's a victim, then when she says your fake smiles on Instagram don't fool me one bit, is it because he's truly hurting and he's masking by smiling? No, that's not what she means here. What she means here, even though she calls him a victim, she's the one that labels him a victim. She is saying that he's smiling while he's complicit to partaking in nefarious behavior. None of it makes sense. But the worst part is when Miranda Derrick put out a video stating that she was in fear for her and her husband's safety. Now, granted, this was after Netflix docuseries came out, and it was also just after Katie Joy Paulson doxed Miranda's full address, her and her husband's full address. She came out to say that she was in fear, and Katie mocked her for it and said she's not in fear. She's not in fear at all. But let's listen to what Miranda had to say herself. Here's just a short part of that video that she put out.
But before this documentary, my husband and I, we felt safe. Now that this documentary is out, we feel like our lives have been put in danger. We have both been followed in our cars. We have received hate mail, death threats. People have been sending us messages to commit suicide. We've been stalked. Someone said that if I see you on the street, I'm going to come and gut you, so you better get security. Someone also said that if I see you walking on the sidewalk, I'm going to come and shove you in the trunk of my car. So these are just some of the messages that I've been receiving behind the scenes.
And not too long after Miranda Derrick came out with that statement, she went with Allison Holker to a Netflix event, which pissed Katie Joy off to no end. And Katie actually says Allison Holker isn't helping conspiracy theorists, and Miranda Derrick certainly doesn't look scared at a Netflix event. This is her actual post, and we're going to read what she put underneath it. But where's the outrage here? How much outrage did she delete? How How many comments were the same comments that we just saw regarding Blake Lively, stating you cannot gauge how she's truly feeling or how afraid she is or how hurt she is because she's wearing a smile while she's with Allison Holker? Where's that outrage? Was there outrage and she deleted it? We just don't know. I wish she would have put this on Threads. I wish we would have seen this. But this was from June of 24, and she didn't start posting on Threads until recently. But if you go and see these posts on her Instagram page that are still there, it's nothing but positive comments. It's nothing but support. How many did she have to delete? Another thing we need to remember here is that Katie Joy is being sued by Miranda Derrick and her husband James Derrick, along with Robert Shen and 7M Films. That lawsuit is still ongoing and was ongoing whenever she made this post in June of 2024 that states, Miranda Derrick doesn't look scared at Netflix premiere with Allison Holker. Apparently Allison has no problem continuing to support and enable Robert Shen. I'm honestly disappointed, but I shouldn't be surprised. P.S. Miranda isn't scared. That was all an intimidation tactic by Robert Shen. You know, how can she say that she is or she isn't? We saw that she put out a statement. We saw her video. Why would she lie? Well, Katie says she's lying because she's brainwashed by a cult leader. Nonetheless, this is so dangerous. This is so irresponsible. And in my opinion, it puts Miranda back in the spotlight, back at being a target, and back in danger. But she doesn't care. Why? Because it brings her clicks and views, which ultimately brings her money. Katie Joy also said when TMZ put out a story regarding Miranda Derrick and the situation with 7M Films and Robert Shen, Katie actually says, scared for her life, but promoting articles to further expose her life. Make it make sense, Roberto. So she's trying to blame Robert Shen because she says that Miranda cannot think for herself. She's not allowed to do anything on her own. Well, then why use her picture all the time? Use Robert's picture. Stop making her the poster child for this. If it's about Robert, use Robert's picture. Then she says, people this scared aren't begging TMZ to share their side. They call the police and get offline. So Katie Joy herself labels Miranda Derrick as a victim, but this is how she treats victims. Not only that, this is how she treats women that come out and say that they are in fear for their safety. She says, no, you're not in fear. You're faking this. But then what did Katie Joy do? Katie Joy turned around and said she was in fear for her own life because she was receiving threats. And she made it all about her. She was a victim and she expected everyone to support her, not Miranda Derrick. She also made this post, and keep in mind, this is very, very soon after she is saying that Miranda Derrick is not in danger, that she's faking it. She says, finally, thank you to everyone that is sharing and talking about this series. For many of us that have been involved for years, there is safety for us now that everyone is talking about. This series and Robert Shen, content creators covering this story, please be careful and do not engage with bot accounts from the cult. Robert Shen is desperate right now. Threats have escalated this week, and his trolls are attacking both sides to create chaos. He wants to silence us, but we will not be silent. There are still people who are in danger, and their lives/safety is at risk. Please remember, the dancers are victims. But wait, just a little while ago, you said that Miranda is not in danger, and that her life and safety is not at risk. And then in this post, she says the women in 7M are not safe and no one is protecting them. So they're not safe, they are in danger, and you're right, nobody is protecting them, particularly you, Katie Joy. These are just the types of things that Katie Joy Paulson does. There is a video up on my channel detailing Katie Joy's obsession with Miranda and how she does not treat her as a victim. Well, she's a victim. She's a victim of Katie Joy Paulson. So if you haven't seen that video, go feel free to check that out as it is up on my channel still. So anytime anyone has an opinion regarding Katie Joy Paulson and her posts and her beliefs, and they say anything negative, she turns around and she says it's bot accounts. Because heaven forbid a real person actually disagree with Katie Joy Paulson. Heaven forbid that somebody actually have their own thoughts and disagree. Again, it could be they agree with her in some things and disagree with her in some things, but you are not allowed to disagree with Katie Joy. If you do, you are called a bot. So with 7M, she says all these accounts are created by Robert Shen or because they support Robert Shen, and they are also bots that are flooding her content comments. And guess what? Of course, we know she said the same thing when it came to Blake Lively, because guess what? No way would anybody ever disagree with Katie Joy, right? So they have to be bots and they have to be paid for by Blake Lively herself, because Blake Lively doesn't have enough going on that she is going to hire a bunch of bots to flood Katie Joy's comments. I don't know about you, but to me, the comments we just saw seem absolutely legitimate. I don't think those are paid for comments. I think they are genuine comments from people that were upset by her posts. But instead of just owning up to it, Katie Joy Paulson blames it on Blake Lively buying bots. And she says, in the past couple days, I've been accused of being misogynist and hateful. I've been called alt-right. And she says, I'm not. Today, I found this in my DMs. A supporter of Blake, an account that is private, limited followers, and looks fake. Well, you know what, Katie Joy? You are known to dox anybody and everybody that pretty much disagrees with you or puts your stuff out. So, of course, it's going to be a new account with no identifying information along with it. Okay, so she continues on. The account is suggesting covering a public lawsuit that was filed in federal court will cause Blake Lively to end her life. This kind of rhetoric is more dangerous than anything that I've reported. I've never suggested harming anyone. Okay. But the bots want to guilt us into believing, who's us, number one, but okay. The bots want to guilt us into believing that we are dangerous. The threat is that if we don't stop Blake, we'll end up dead. This is not true. This is a narrative, and her CIA team needs to find a new agenda. This won't work. What happened to just owning up to the fact that maybe you said something that was insensitive? You apologized to all the people that have actually suffered trauma and that you offended and move on. But no, instead, she continues to make herself the victim. Just like she did regarding Miranda Derrick, when she's supposed to be fighting for this victim within this quote-unquote cult that she's labeled as a cult, and that Robert Shin is a cult leader, and Miranda and James are victims of Robert Shin. Again, this is all Katie Joy's narrative. This is how she's labeled these people, yet she makes herself the victim instead. When she doxed Miranda's address, she made herself a victim, even though Miranda made a statement saying that she did not feel safe and that she was receiving threats. This is a pattern that Katie Joy Paulson does. Because here we are again with Blake Lively, and she is now the victim of all the people that left those comments stating that she was wrong or that she was inconsiderate. And that's me putting it nicely for some of the comments that were left. But nonetheless, people were very upset. And instead of owning up to it, Katie Joy Paulson made an entire post regarding one comment that was left that says, Katie knows about being an SA/SH quote unquote victim. She's a perceptual one. So Katie Joy Paulson makes this entire post. It says, perpetual is a word you are thinking of, not perceptual. But also, the attempt to discredit me won't work. And there were several comments left under this post as well. We went over that in the live, but here's a reminder. Somebody said, no one has to discredit you. Your full-time job and career is trying to bring down a woman who has no idea that you exist. You're as big a loser as it gets. Or this comment that says, hating on a woman who is beautiful and successful makes you look jealous. No one needs to discredit you. You're doing a good job at that on your own. There were also several people that pointed out Katie Joy's correction of the word perceptual, such as this comment that says, first off, it is perceptual, not perpetual. The definition of perpetual does not fit with the sentence. Check your dictionary or Google. It's not that hard. And secondly, you try to gain attention by hating on women. As a woman, your behavior is gross and very telling as to what kind of person you truly are. And there were so many more comments in this, as we will see here. I'll just let this scroll as I end this video today. But for those of us who kept thinking, why is Katie Joy not getting any backlash? Why is there so much support on Katie Joy's side? Well, now we know it isn't all support. There are people that disagree with her. In fact, there are people that absolutely are disgusted by Katie Joy Paulson and her behaviors. Katie Joy has been posting about Blake Lively non-stop for weeks now. Non-stop, y'all. And she continues. And there's nothing positive on her page. So we see a lot of these comments that people talk about, you're so negative, you have nothing good to say. It is so true. Katie Joy Paulson has nothing positive to say, particularly if it is about another woman, a successful woman, a beautiful woman. Katie Joy has nothing to do with that. She has to always call them names, mainly a narcissist, or talking about how they're doing everything wrong, how they're creating fake accounts, how they are playing the victim. Is that all projection, Katie Joy Paulson? Is that you projecting who you truly are on these people? If you take a look at all of her social media platforms, you will not see one positive comment about somebody. It's crazy. But yet, Katie Joy just keeps on going, and she just keeps insulting and berating and victimizing people that she is calling a victim. So Katie Joy is going to continue doing what she does. She's never going to change. These stories, these videos are getting old. Right? But we're going to keep covering her. We're going to keep following her. And we're absolutely going to keep following this lawsuit that she is in, where she is being sued for defamation by Robert Shen, 7M Films, Miranda Derrick, and James Derrick. So stay tuned for those updates. Thank you guys for joining today, and I hope to see you on the next one. I also hope to see you in the comments. Have a wonderful day, y'all. I'll see you next time.